It's worth remembering that as the whole conspiracy to overturn the election results was unfolding in Georgia, there was also an absolutely critical U.S. Senate race that was taking place, a runoff election that would decide which party controlled the U.S. Senate in Washington. In the midst of all of this, on January 5th, 2021, the day before the attack on the Capitol, Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock, Democratic U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock, was elected. Joining us now is Senator Warnock. I should mention he is also the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church in the city of Atlanta. Senator Warnock, there's so much going on tonight in your home state of Georgia and in politics and in all the drama around this. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about it.
Thank you so much. Always great to be with you, Rachel.
So what do you think people should understand around the country, looking in on Georgia, living through everything that you've lived through, everything that you've seen up close that's happened, knowing what you know about Fulton County and the criminal justice system and political pressures in the state? What do you think people from outside Georgia should know about this pressure, about this process as the pressure just gets unbelievably intense on what's happening in Fulton County?
Well, Rachel, this is playing out in Georgia, in Fulton County, but this is a moral moment for our nation. We know who Donald Trump is. The question right now is, who are we? What kind of country are we going to be going forward? And as we watch all of this play out, we're reminded that democracy is not a noun. It's a verb. We are required to remain vigilant and active. It's a lot like brushing and flossing. There's never a moment when you can stop. Otherwise, you have decay. And so while Donald Trump and the other defendants may be at the center of this particular case, my eye is on the democracy itself, because I believe in democracy. I believe that it is the political enactment of a spiritual idea, this notion that each of us has within us a spark of the divine, and therefore we ought to have a voice in the direction of the country and our destiny within it. And that's what's under assault. And all of us as Americans, have to stand up and fight for that which is precious and rare in the history of humankind, democracy. Mm.
I was struck by reading today about an event that happened this weekend in Georgia. A bunch of different groups, including the Georgia NAACP and Black Voters Matter, met in Coffee County. At the AME Church in Coffee County, which, of course, is one of the locations that has become famous because of the indictment of former President Trump and his co-defendants. Coffee County is one of the places where people who shouldn't have had access to voting machines and tabulating machines nevertheless were given access, and all the sensitive data from those machines was uploaded onto the internet and downloaded all over the world. People met in Coffee County this weekend to talk about the damage done to their democracy in Coffee County and to try to reckon with why it's taken this long to fix it, why the police weren't involved sooner, why there hasn't necessarily been any assurance to people in that county that the next effort to vote in that county will be safe. I wonder if your constituents in Georgia sort of feel this more personally, more directly, more acutely than all of us do looking at it nationally.
All my constituents, who I'm so very proud to represent, feel it. I have to tell you, I feel it personally. My mother is from that part of the state. I know a lot about Coffee County, and my mother was born and raised in Ware County, Waycross, Georgia, nearby. And as you pointed out in your opening discussion, the people of Georgia did an amazing thing on January 5th, 2021. They elected their first Black United States senator. And my mom, who was from Ware County, that part of the state, who grew up picking somebody else's tobacco and picking somebody else's cotton, picked her youngest son to be a United States senator. That's what's at stake here. The ability of ordinary people to have a voice in their democracy, and that was assaulted by the former president and those who are enabling him in so many ways. He deserves to have his day in court. He claims his innocence, and he's innocent until proven guilty, so that due process ought to carry itself out. While at the same time, what we've got to do is focus on the ways in which the actions of January 6th this unprecedented attack on our capital, the most violent since the War of 1812, then metastasized into a cancer of voter suppression laws all across our country. Over 300 voter suppression laws were introduced in about 45 states just this year, and about 13 of them have passed. And so it is the big lie that is driving this. So regardless of the outcome of the former president's case, we've got a problem, and we've got to deal with it, which is why we need to pass the legislation that I and others have put forward on voting rights. We've got to preserve our democracy. We've got to uphold once again that great American covenant, one person, one vote. Nothing could be more important, because the democracy is the whole game. It is the framework in which we get to fight for everything that matters. And long after this case is over and the books have been closed here, we'll have to face one another. And our children are going to ask us, what did you do when the democracy itself was imperiled? And I want to be able to look my kids in the eye and say that I stood up for the best in the American ideal, that I stood up for the best in the covenant that we have with one another.